Couch Players. Today we will be reviewing Apollo, a game inspired by the NASA moon missions. How long does it take to play? The Gemini version of the game takes about 30 minutes, whereas the Apollo version takes about 45 to 60 minutes. There is a 4-minute timer, so it is a very hard set time limit. However, if it's your first time playing, I would suggest not using the timer, which may take the game longer.
How long does setup take? Setup for this game takes, I would say, anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. Because every single player has a different setup and no one can see the mission, and because no one can see mission control setup, it does take a little bit of extra time and finagling, especially because you have to decide between which of the missions you are going to choose to play this version of the game. And because there's a whole bunch of different cards that you can play based on like what your goals are and that sort of thing. So dealing all of those out, making sure everything is squared away can take a little bit of extra time. I would say this would take between 5 to 10 minutes.
Are any outside supplies needed? Yes, you will need a phone or a timer or a clock or something to set a 4-minute timer. Are the rules easy to get? After a while, yes. There's a lot of different things going on, and because there is a lack of communications between mission control and the astronauts, it can be a little bit complicated at times.
Is there a lot of strategy involved? This is a very high strategy game, especially because any of the astronauts cannot talk to the mission control. You need to be communicating you need to be strategizing at all times, because you have to be remembering what you've played, what you haven't played, and making sure that you're keeping track of everything, because even the alerts that the astronauts are getting are not specific enough. And if you're not strategizing how you're going to play things, you're not going to complete all of the mission tasks as needed. This is a high-stressed, high-strategy game, especially when you take into account the 4-minute timers for each round.
Do you need a practice round? I would say not necessarily. If you want a practice round, it's not necessarily a bad idea. However, I think you can get away with watching a practice round online.
How big is the box? It's fairly large. It's something that I believe you could put in a suitcase, but I wouldn't put it in a backpack. You can bring it to a board game night, but you can't just bring it on a train or along with you for the ride. Is this young kid playable? I would say no. I would say maybe middle to high school, but I wouldn't go much younger than that. There's just a lot of different things happening at once, and bringing a kid in might just end up stressing everybody out a little bit too much, especially because there's a lot to keep track of. And if you're having multiple people keeping track of multiple different things, it's maybe not the best game for a kid.
Is this grandma playable? I would say not really. The text on the cards are really small, and which can make it kind of hard to see.
You need at least 2 players, one to be flight crew and one to be mission control. You can have multiple people on the flight crew if you want, though.
Is this a team game? You don't necessarily need to make teams for the game because it is already set up as a team game because it is fully cooperative. I would give this a 4 out of 5 couches. It is a really fun game, and I feel like it is fairly accurate for how actual missions need to be conducted and all of the different things that are going on that you need to pay attention to. It is really fun. It is really complicated. It is kind of hard. I have not won the game very much, but I do like the hard, complicated games that make you think.
I'm going to go ahead and give this game 4.5 stars. I really, really adored it. I'm going to be really picky from here on out on what I do give 5 stars, but this game was so much fun. I would really, really love to see different iterations of it. I've only gotten to play through it once, but I had such a blast doing so. If you're, especially if you're scientifically minded, if you're interested in the aerospace industry and the space industry, like this is such a fun game because you have to keep track of all the different factors, and it does keep it very, very high stakes, and the timer really adds a good amount to it. I would say this is a really, really fun game, and it seems like this is not a game that I'd heard of before, so I would say it's probably fairly lesser known. So if you have a chance, I would definitely say get yourself a copy of this game. Go ahead and give it a playthrough. You will absolutely enjoy yourself. Are the rules a little complicated? Maybe, but that's what our Rules Explained video is for. Go watch it. Shameless plug. All right.
Thanks for watching, and we'll sip you later.